Anybody else disturbingly sober right now needs a healthy dose of losing money in your wallet? Well, welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! We are showing you today a Time Thief deck list. That's right. Now, I know what a lot of you are saying right now. Travis, you maniacal monolith of ego. This deck is garbage. And you know what? You're right, and I've sunk quite a bit of money into this money pit. But it is a lot of fun. And it is surprisingly good. And I would also consider it a rogue contender. It's been topping some events recently. And yeah, I have some spicy stuff to show you guys. Anyways, let's get right into the profile. This is Time Thieves.
I'm ready.
Alright, and we're going to get into the deck list for you guys. We're going to start off with the main deck here. We have 3 Time Thief Winder. This is kind of our Stratos of the deck, but is actually a little bit better than Stratos. This can search any Time Thief card, and you can special summon it from your hand by detaching a material from an XYZ monster. So it's also an extender, but also 1800 body, which is pretty dang good. Next, our main starter, Time Thief Regulator. Regulators, mount up! It's time to get Ash Blossomed on this. So if you don't have your Gamma or your Called By, this is a very, very sad day to get ashed on this, but this is a +2 inherently that is then going to net you 2 more +2s on the following 2 turns, meaning this card, you know, basically turns into 6 cards, which is pretty good, if you ask me. 6 is a bigger number than 2. Then the other 2, you have to run these. I really would like to run more, but I actually think just running 1 of each is perfectly okay. They can get banished off their own effects, but by that point you're already winning. I think it is much more important to be emphasizing your extenders and your power ability on this deck. And yeah, this can summon from the grave by detaching a material, so kind of a bit by like Winder. And then Chronocoder if an XYZ leaves the field via a card effect, so if it gets like, you know, banished, or if it gets, you know, destroyed like Darkhold, you can summon this from the grave. And then they both have quick effects. This one, you can tribute itself to basically DD Crow, a card from your opponent's graveyard, by attaching it as a material to an XYZ. And then this one causes your opponent to receive the battle damage that you would receive. So, pretty cool. They're both extenders, so they kind of go into each other. Basically, Regulator can turn into these 2 if you have Winder in hand. Or you can summon Winder and the Bezel Ship, which is probably better. So yeah, package is pretty great. I think it could probably use another monster, but it's pretty good for now. Next is Parallel Exceed, one of the greatest cards to come out of Etco. This card is incredible. In any rank 4 or even any Link deck, I'd probably just run this. Summons from hand to a zone a Link monster points to. When that Link monster is summoned, then you can special another one from deck and they both become level 4. Pretty great. I would consider this like an honorary Time Thief card. Yeah, pretty awesome. I think it's definitely raised the ceiling of this deck quite a bit. Next, 3 Ubs, 3 Ash, just a nice generic hand trap. You could probably run 2 and then maybe run Imperm. That might be a little bit better, but I like 3 Ash. It's nice to draw into. Next, 3 Gamma. You must run 3 Gamma. Do not run less than 3 Gamma. And the card that will absolutely magnetize to your hand every opening game when you're at that regional. Have fun, bud. Yeah, this card sucks. I hate this card, but Gamma is just too good, man. You can reuse this effect multiple times, especially if you're Masquerena-ing this driver away. So yeah, I think this is pretty great. It protects your Regulator. Regulator tributes off the field to activate its effect, meaning that it's not on the field while it's activating, so if they do Ash Blossom, you can actually Gamma. It means you have 6 outs in your deck to Ash on your Regulator startup, meaning you have kind of like a 14 to 20% chance of opening that exact combo, which is actually a pretty high number when you think about it. Next, the Clown package. So this package is going to change once our Raid Raptor support comes out. I'm going to replace these with those. But yeah, these cards are great. I think that they're kind of the only like good rank 4 extenders in the game. There are some other really good ones, but they all conflict with how this deck works. Is that they all summon either by having no cards in your graveyard, or your opponent gets to, you know, summon one like Dinotherium, which just doesn't work well in this deck because you need Regulator to resolve first, so they need to be summoned summons that just kind of happen on their own. While that may not make sense with these, we actually run Foolish Burial. So these are kind of utility cards, meaning you could Foolish this away or actually use it as material with an extender to then, you know, banish it to add another extender, or you could normal this, Foolish this, banish it, and then recur this, you know what I mean? So they're just great cards that, you know, recur themselves. Next, two zoos. Yeah, this is going to be strange, but it's like the only one card XYZs that exist in the game. Thoroughblade, in case you draw the other ones, you can draw a card, which is pretty nice. You can't go into a Link monster with this, and yeah, free Rat Pierre to 3. Rocket Recharger and Rocket Tracer. This is like the only like lower than 1,000 attack rocket that we have, so you can go into Alma Rush, trigger your Parallel Exceed. Also the Rocket Tracer, so if you have both, you can actually use the Rocket Tracer to summon the other one. It's kind of the only like good generic rank 4 engine. You know, I know that these are like good rank 4 extenders, but this is like a rank 4 engine. Pretty interesting. With that, we run the 3 Quick Launch. This is also great because it is not a hard once per turn, so if you draw 2, you can get 2 monsters out of it. Pretty nice. But yeah, it might even be worth considering maybe running a 3rd Rocket Monster. That way, I've had a lot of hands where I'll either draw the Tracer and another Quick Launch, meaning I'd want to normal summon Tracer, activate Quick Launch, then use Tracer's effect. So yeah, it might be worth considering running 3 and then also running, you know, Allure, which I would really love to run. 3 called by, you have to run it, Regulator must resolve or you lose the game. Upstart Goblin, we're trying to thin our deck. You really, really, really want to see these cards. Like, you really want to see Exceed, Regulator, and Gamma, and like, you really want to see these cards. So we're trying to thin the deck as much as possible. Hence why I'm saying we want to run Allure, but Allure even conflicts because you don't really want to banish any cards you draw. Foolish Burial, like I said, this is like the utility card. It turns your clown package into, you know, this is either a 1 card level 4 that, you know, is an instant fusion or anything like that. But yeah, or either that or it searches out your Hat Tricker. So it's an extender. 1 Barrage, free Barrage to 3, please. Oh my god, this card is so great. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think it's like, you know, kind of like a 1 card Link 2 sometimes in this deck, which is really useful. That's kind of what I use it for, and there are even occasions where I'll leave Dryden on the field because Dryden is a good card. Time Thief Startup, unfortunately, you kind of have to run this card. Some builds don't, which I understand, but there are like way too many hands that I've drawn testing this deck and playing it online where I'm not running this card, and I'll have the 2 Time Thieves in hand, and that can really suck. But also, drawing Startup with your Regulator is really great, but it is really bricky, so you don't want to run 1-1. But yeah, that can kind of bait things out. So, you know, kind of necessary. It's unfortunate, but you could cut. Next, onto our trap cards, the Retrograde and the Flyback. I'm only running 1 of each. I think the Time Thief spell and traps are pretty lacking and leave a lot to desired, but you know, I think they're good at what they do as long as you don't draw them. So obviously you search the Retrograde off your Winder because it is a Time Thief card, and then Flyback you actually attach from the deck via Perpetua, giving you a spin and then kind of like a pseudo DD Crow. So basically, if you're playing this deck right, you get like 2 DD Crows on your opponent's turn, which is like so bonkers. This game is like entirely played in the graveyard nowadays. Next, 3 Brigandine. It's like also probably like the best level 4 extender, and immediately makes Redoer a trap Redoer, which I think is really, really busted to get an immediate spin back to the deck effect. So that is our 40 card list. Yeah, let's move on to the extra deck. Starting off, we have 1 Almirage. This is because of Parallel Exceed. There's quite a few monsters in the deck that you run that have less than 1,000 attacks, so it's pretty easy to make, including your Chronocoder and Bezel Ship. So yeah, gotta run this card. IP Masquerena, I think you also kind of have to run this card. It's like a generic Link 2, but is also an extra interruption because while we are great at making bodies, there are some monsters that we just can't make in this deck sometimes, but it being dark is pretty relevant. And the Bujin Link. So this is kind of a funny card. Some people don't like running this in Time Thieves. I actually think this card is like pretty dang necessary, especially now that there are so many back row decks. Its effect is actually pretty applicable. So, you know, you summon it and you get to summon 2 monsters at the same level, 1 from your hand, 1 from your grave, and you immediately turn them into an XYZ. So this is how you get the extra Time Thief extenders out of your hand, which you kind of have to do. It then unfortunately can kind of clog you with only this one arrow, meaning you can either get only the Lambda and your 2 XYZs, and not a Lambda and 3 XYZs. So that can kind of suck, but when you detach material from an XYZ monster that's pointing to this arrow, pop a spell or trap. So that's pretty handy. What does unfortunately really suck about this card, which is why I would probably cut it, is that it can't be used as a link material. So that really, really sucks. It really sucks. And not even like can't be used as a link material to turn it summoned, like some link monsters say. It just can't be used. It's like Bardiche. It blows. But yeah. Lambda! Love this card. Lambda Redoer combo. That's it. Unicorn. This is for the IP. Get an extra spin. Spinning things back to deck is so busted. So being able to have, 2 of those as well as removal that attaches as material. This deck is very efficient at not removing your opponent's threats, but actually taking your opponent's threats. Hence the Time Thief, is that you're turning back the clock on your opponent. Next we have Time Thief Avramax. I just think he looks like Time Thief Redoer. But yeah, you can actually turn the Masquerena into this, but it's a great follow-up if you have actually Unicorn, because then sometimes you can be left with a Perpetua with no material and the Nightmare, and you can just go straight into this, which is like, just beats back row decks, which I think is kind of the toughest matchup for this deck right now. I would probably main deck some Cosmic Cyclones going forward. In the same vein, the one Appaloosa. Yeah, this is just like a great generic card, especially if you're afraid of Nibiru. Nibiru can kind of wreck this deck if you can't get to Lambda before your 5th summon, which we really, really try to do. It's kind of easy, but if you're not drawing the Gamma, that's when that's not going to work, which, yeah, there are some niche interactions to play around it, but other than that, these are your only 2 ways to play around Nibiru. The 2 Zodiac cards for the Zodiac engine, yeah, basically you would take your Zodiac monster, lay Dryden over it, use Winder to detach that one, summon Winder, get your search, go into Chakanine, get that level 4 back from the grave. It can't be used as an XYZ material, but you can immediately turn it into a Link 2. So that's pretty great. We got our DT Evil Swarm Nightmare. This card's awesome. It's like our Evolsar Dolka question mark of this deck. It's 2 negates, dark, takes 2 dark, level 4 dark monsters, but basically it's flips 2 special summons, so it's like auto Book of Moon, which is really good, actually, because if you prevent your opponent from getting to a Link monster, that's it, man. But against, like certain decks, this wouldn't really work. I think this only is good once you know your matchup. In that same vein, we have our Ulti Abyss Dweller, brand new. I'm so happy to have this card. This just continues to be like the best rank 4, like no matter what the format is. Yeah, it's just really good. I would say if you have room to make a generic rank 4 in this deck, which can happen pretty frequently, that isn't a Time Thief card, you should probably go for Dweller. Other than that, you could go for Nightmare, but yeah, I'm usually going for Dweller if I can. Next, I'll put her front and center, is our very beautiful Time Thief Perpetua.
Starlight.
Sorry, Starlight. Yeah, this card is amazing. What's going to be so great too when the Raid Raptor support comes out is that you can actually continually keep attaching material to infinity. So yeah, that's great. Next, Tornado Dragon for back row. 1 Redoer. I'm going to bump this up to 2. I think you need 2 in this deck. But yeah, these 2 in tandem with each other are just so, so good. And then finally, to round off the swag, we have our Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon. This card is like wholly unnecessary, but when I'm thinking about like cards that I want to just do pure damage with, it's kind of either between this and Dugaris. But, maybe you could run Gagaga Samurai if you're still stuck in 2015. But yeah, I mean, that card... I was even thinking of running like Gagaga Samurai with Dugaris. So you could turn him into, what would he be, 3,800 and he could attack twice. That's not very good, obviously, but it is funny, which is always worth it. So yeah, that's our extra deck. And that's kind of it for now. I think the side deck is kind of up to you. I don't have a side deck for this.
All right. So, any last words you want to say, Travis?
Yes, this deck is so underrated. We recently just had someone talk with it, but I think that if this deck got some representation, it could really, really explode. I've been messing around with it quite a bit myself and having so much fun with it. Really, really excited for Phantom Rage. I think that is when I'm probably gonna like premiere this deck at an event, because that set makes this deck busted, you know. So, hello. There you go. It's $400 on the couch. But yeah, that's it for the profile today, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I think it's a very interesting rogue contender. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. Until the next time that you come and join me on the couch over here. Travis out.